Hey everybody, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell to share with you today, and I am going to be playing along with the MOJO Sketch 558. This is offered by MOJO Monday. It's designed, sketched by Julie Tillman. So here's the card I'm going to show you how I put together. I did some fun stamping. I did some background stamping. I'm going to be using the new Beauty of Friendship stamp set. So I'm going to create my own little background paper. I'm going to show you how I cut my panel to fit her design measurements, and then I'll put it all together for you, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I did use Cajun Craze as my card base, okay, and then also my accentuating colors here with my tree and my birds and my ink, and then we'll make the whole card. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing is we have to create this panel, right, that's sliced. So I've actually made a template. Her sketch shows that it's a 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. Okay, so I put that on my grid paper. Okay, just like this. So first I marked it with a pencil. My pencil handy? Probably not. First I marked it with a pencil at 2 1/4. Then I flipped it around this way, right? It would have been one piece, and I marked it at, I came down to 3 1/2, which is actually 1 3/4 from that end. So I made myself a template, okay, because I was going to make a bunch of cards with this design. Then I've got my full piece, right? I had a whole stack of these that are 4 by 5 1/4. And what I did was I took the top section and I just put it over the top, okay, and then I used my pencil and I just marked there and there, just a little pencil mark. Okay, so this one's my template, so I can make it over and over and over again and not have to be worrying about all that measuring and figuring out the design. Now, how did I cut that, right? So I have one of these older Fisker paper cutters. I also have a chopping one, but this is how you would use it. So you have your two little marks on your cardstock. You just want to line that up in the grid, your cutting grid. Okay, so this one's lined up down here and that one's lined up there. Now, if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Okay, it's just a guide. So I put down my cutting cover here, and then I'm just going to run that through. Now I've got two pieces. Okay, now, like I said, I was going to make a whole bunch of these. So by having the template that I did the first time, right, cut and measure, and then marking it off for each one and then doing all my cuts, I was able to come up with a whole stack of these, okay, but I wanted to keep them in order because if I don't cut exactly, they're not all going to be exactly the same. So I just put them right on top of each other so that then I can work through my stack and the pieces are going to marry up nicely when I make my card, okay? So I have lots of those to make lots of cards. So here I am, okay, so there's my pieces. Now, let me go ahead and bring in my ink pads. Okay, so I chose to use Mossy Meadow, Night and Navy, Cajun Craze, and Cinnamon Cider. Okay, and these are all stamps from the stamp set. Okay, you can see I've been making a bunch of them. So how did I pick those colors? Well, I went to the designer series paper that they put out to coordinate with this stamp set, and I really liked this paper, but I decided to stamp my own. So I used the same colors, the Mossy Meadow, the Night and Navy, the Cinnamon Cider, and the Cajun Craze, and then I'm going to create my own background paper. So what I'm going to do, and you could do this too if you wanted to make more than one of the same card. Okay, I just take 2 sets of my cut panels. That looks strange, but that's okay, as long as it's the right size. It's the right size. So I've got 2 cuts of my panels, okay? I've got the top portion and the bottom portion. That really does look strange. Is that okay? Yeah, it's okay. Like I said, they're all going to be a little bit different. So I started with my green. I've got my large tree here from the stamp set. So I'm going to ink that up in my Mossy Meadow, and then I'm just going to multi-stamp Sometimes I call this triple stamping. Okay, and I'm just kind of filling the space with color. Now, are my cards going to be exactly the same? No, of course not. They're not going to be exactly the same. And you can see I'm stamping and then stamping off, so I'm getting different variegations of the stamp at the same time. Then I come in with my Night of Navy, ink that up, and I'm just kind of twisting my stamp as I bring it down, right? So it's not an exact duplicate of the same color. So not only am I getting different variegations on the ink, I'm also getting different positioning. Okay, and then you can kind of look and decide if you want a little more someplace else. Like I said, they're all going to be a little bit different. You can see there's a little more white on this one, a little less on that one. Then I'm coming in with this little tiny background stamp and my Cajun Craze, and I'm just stamping this in all that white. So I'm just filling in all this white cardstock with color. So my husband calls this one stamping in the mud, because you just don't really care where it goes. You just want the color and the texture in there to use for your card. All right, so there's all of the top panel, and I could just keep doing that through my whole stack. Now on the bottom, I want to do my sentiment, so I'm using the Cajun Craze, and I'm using Friendship Refreshes the Soul as my sentiment. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this on the bottom, and this one as well. Okay, so there's all that stamping, and that's all done. Now look how easy this is to put together. So I have one card base. I'm going to go ahead and move one of these off, because I'm only going to put one together for you today. So I have my card base. I just bring that in. So what I do is I line up my two pieces on the front of my card. Okay, then I'm going to bring my liquid adhesive in, and now watch, I'm just going to hold that one in place and flip this one over. Okay, so I've got adhesive on there, and this one did move a little bit, so I'm going to put this back where I want it. Hey now, it's like Butterfingers this morning. So I have that lined up. I'm just going to put this right along where that edge is being, that way I get it nice and square to my borders, and then I just repeat with the second piece. Okay, and remember, you don't need a lot of liquid adhesive on there. Okay, a nice light coating is all you really need. And of course, you can use whatever adhesive you want. I like the liquid adhesive when I'm piecing two pieces though, because then I can kind of slide them together and not worry so much about getting it exactly down the first time. Alright, so I'm now going to fold my card in half and give that crease a good push down. Now, I have some other pieces, and these are straight off of Julie's measurements. So I did use a piece of the Designer Series paper for this little panel, and it's just going to add a block of green right there. Then I've got another thin piece of the Cajun Craze, and I'm just lining that up here. Now I'm just following the sketch. Okay, so now I have a die cut circle. I did use that from the stitched shape dies, and I am going to use, this is where I'm going to bring in the cinnamon cider. So I've got cinnamon cider. This is what I'm going to do for my tree base. Okay, so I'm going to just stamp the frame of my tree in there. Then I have another stamp from the set, and I'm just going to stamp this one off because I stamped it in cinnamon cider first. I stamped it off because I want it to be a nice light contrast, and then I'm going to go to my Cajun Craze, ink that up, stamp that one off lightly, and then I'm going to come in and do a second over the top color, so like a two-step stamp there. Okay, great. Now I'm going to put that on dimensionals, if I have any on my table. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's do 3 of these. So I'm just going to pop this up with dimensionals, and I'm going to position this kind of here as a focal point. And then I have one more thing. I have 2 little birds, which are part of the coordinating dies that go with the stamp set. So let me show you those real quick. So here are the coordinating dies. So we've got an outline of the tree and then all the tree foliage, right? Another outline of a tree, some fun shapes. But I have two little birds that came with that as well. So I just went ahead and cut them from Cajun Craze, right? Keep all my accent colors together, be same. And then I'm going to use a tiny dimensional, right? I call these tiny dimensionals, they're just the mini dimensionals. Flip my birds over, add those to the back. And then I'm going to put two little birds in my tree for accent. So there we go. Alright, so if I just slip this out so it's not as distracting, you can see the card all put together. Okay? So there it is. There's my fun little card to play along with the MOJO sketch and to show off one of the new sets from the new catalog. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope I was helpful in showing you how to cut that panel on that angle, how to do some fun background stamping with one set and just a couple of colors. Fill in and enjoy. And please, you know, and it's not just me. A lot of people put out fun sketches, and Julie's are wonderful. But if you find a sketch, especially if it's a sketch with measurements, try it, right? You might find that you really enjoy it, and then you can just duplicate that sketch with other papers and other sets. So stamping's all about having fun. So I hope you enjoyed the show and tell today. You can leave me comments below. You can visit the blog. I'll put the link there as well. And I'll stamp again with you soon. All right, everybody, do some fun stamping. Have a great day. Bye-bye.